Alright guys, in today's video we have some very exciting PlayStation 5 news and information to go over and talk about. I'm sure many of you are well aware of just how exciting the past couple of days have been in the realm of PlayStation. There's no doubt it has been very exciting, but there's also still a lot to talk about. There's a lot of other information that has kind of been going a little bit under the radar because we have all this stuff happening at one time and it's easy to lose track of it. And so what I wanted to do is make sure to highlight some of the more important things that I think are being said about the PlayStation 5 or revealed about Sony's plans for next generation in general that maybe are going under the radar a little bit, and we're going to highlight some of this stuff in today's video and probably tomorrow's video as well. So the first thing we're going to be talking about has to do with the PlayStation 5 tech demo and how Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic, had some really positive things to say about it. And you can tell that Epic Games, I'm assuming just like many other developers, are very excited about some of the design decisions that Sony made with the PS5. He talks about not only the GPU power, but also the SSD as well. This is, of course, nothing new. We've heard a lot of developers praise the PlayStation 5's hardware, saying how easy it is to develop for, but we've also heard a lot of developers praise the SSD inside the PS5 as well. And so this is really, I think, the first time we have like a big AAA developer just outright saying just how excited they are for this hardware. So we're going to highlight some of the things he said. We are also talking a little bit about something that Sony's CFO had to say when he was asked about Xbox's aggressive next-gen marketing and whether or not Sony is fazed by that. And his answer, I think, is very telling. And I really just wanted to take some time to highlight this because, again, I think this is something that's kind of going under the radar, but it's definitely worth paying attention to if you care about this type of stuff and the next-gen conversation. So before we go any further, if you could do me a big favor, make sure you hit the like button to help the video out and show your support, and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss any future content. But diving right into it here, it says today Epic Games, obviously this wasn't today, but this is when the article was written up, Epic Games revealed its next-gen game engine, Unreal Engine 5. To showcase the power of its engine, Epic revealed a brand new, fully playable tech demo that's running on the PlayStation 5 in real time. IGN asked what advancements are in the PlayStation 5 that allow for Unreal Engine 5 to function at this high of a level on the console. Epic founder and CEO Tim Sweeney explained that it was the system storage advancements Sony hardware architect Mark Cerny revealed earlier this year that makes the next-gen Sony console such a powerhouse. I think, first of all, Sony has a massive increase in graphics performance compared to previous generations. But I guess that's what we get every generation. But Sony's made another breakthrough that in many ways is more fundamental, which is a multi-order magnitude increase in storage bandwidth and reduction in storage latency. As revealed back in March in a digital deep dive on the PS5 hosted by Sony architect Mark Cerny, Sony revealed its custom solid-state drive that targets at least 5 GB per second in terms of bandwidth. The PS5 puts a vast amount of flash memory very close to the processor, says Sweeney, so much that it really fundamentally changes the trade-offs that games can make and stream in, and that's absolutely critical to this kind of demo. This is not just a whole lot of polygons in memory, it's also a lot of polygons being loaded every frame as you walk around through the environment, and this sort of detail you don't see in the world would absolutely not be possible at any scale without these breakthroughs that Sony's made. Sweeney says that Sony's storage architecture is far ahead of the best SSD solution you can buy on PC today, and he's quoted with saying that. And so it's really exciting to be seeing the console market push forward the high-end PC market in this way. While Epic would not comment on any potential performance differences between the PS5 and Xbox Series X, Tim Sweeney confirmed that the features shown today, like real-time global illumination and virtualized geometry, are going to work on all the next-generation consoles. So I think that was kind of obvious. This is a multi-platform engine. But one thing I do need to highlight here with this at the end where it mentions real-time global illumination, something that I became aware of after the fact is that apparently people were complaining that this tech demo didn't feature real-time ray tracing, but what people fail to understand is that this real-time global illumination is basically Epic's solution to that, and it's basically a different form of ray tracing. Apparently, based off of what I've heard about it, it's less taxing on the hardware, so essentially developers don't have to use up as much of the resources in order to achieve this type of lighting. And if you look at the lighting in that demo, yeah, it's very impressive. It looks like real-time. It looks pretty much like real-time ray tracing. Now, I don't know if it's as good or as advanced. I'd have to look into that, but everybody who looks at it, even listening to what Digital Foundry had to say, they said that they were very impressed by it. Obviously, Digital Foundry is not the be-all, end-all, but, you know, those are individuals who do know what they're talking about. But pretty much everybody was very impressed by this tech demo. But here we go. We have Epic's CEO, Tim Sweeney, basically saying that, yeah, Sony is fundamentally changing the game here. This is something we've been hearing with this SSD. They are making significant strides forward, and, you know, I just find it interesting that there's still a certain group of people who want to push back against Sony's design decisions here and say, well, it's less T-flops, so therefore it's going to be much less of a console. But you hear what developers are saying, and, you know, people would try to defend that and be like, oh, well, you know, it's just independent developers saying that. Well, this is a big AAA developer here, Epic Games. You know, they make some of the biggest games around, and they're over here saying, like, yeah, this is something huge that Sony has done here. I mean, literally, we have Tim Sweeney saying that not only is the PlayStation 5 just a very huge increase in performance, but he literally says Sony has made another breakthrough that in many ways is more fundamental, and he's talking about the storage bandwidth. So, yeah, we also have a few other things to go over here. It says the PlayStation 5 is a remarkably balanced device, and its storage architecture will help drive future PCs, according to Epic boss Tim Sweeney, following the announcement of the Unreal Engine 5 and the showing of the impressive tech demo. As reported by The Verge, Tim Sweeney commented on the next-gen console from Sony, saying that it is a remarkably balanced device with an immense amount of GPU power, but also multi-order bandwidth increase in storage management. So this is something he's been going around saying, but he's also, and I wanted to just highlight this as well because he's calling it a remarkably balanced device. And again, this is just another thing that we've seen developers talk about and praise about this console, where it's not just about raw power, it's not just about numbers, it's about how balanced the overall architecture is and how everything communicates with one another. That's extremely important when it comes to game development and streamlining it. It says the console storage architecture is far ahead of anything that is available right now on PC. Obviously, this is something we've mentioned multiple times already, but you know, it just seems like developers overall are very much excited about, and that's the thing here, like, it's not just about being impressed, but they seem genuinely excited about some of the strides that Sony has attempted to make here with the PlayStation 5 and really trying to literally, you know, change the game here, right? And what they can do with game development. And I feel like seeing this tech demo, it really goes to show that Sony knows what they're doing when it comes to console development. Something else I have to highlight here is a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but at least some people are pushing back against this demo saying, oh, you know, it was only running at 1440p and it was only 30 frames per second. And while I can understand that, you know, the 1440p thing I don't care about too much because it's already been confirmed that all of the assets are like 8K. I mean, if you listen to that actual the demo that they put out, you listen to what the developers are saying, they're basically saying they can just import like movie quality assets into their game without having to do any optimization whatsoever. And I think that's the point that they were trying to get across. And that's an important thing to understand with what we saw here with this demo, is it's not optimized. Like, you can tell this thing was kind of, it's not that it didn't take effort, but it was thrown together, right, as a tech demo. But if they were to optimize it, and there's a lot more optimization that clearly it can be done with this, I'm sure there's a lot of overhead left that if they really wanted to, if they were like making a full-blown game here, they could probably get it up to 60 frames per second. I mean, they might have to make a few adjustments here and there, most likely, but basically what I've heard is that there's a lot more they can do. This is just basically trying to highlight a lot of the things that the PlayStation 5 specifically can do, just from a next-gen standpoint. Like, what can gamers expect to see? And I guess what I will say before moving on to the next topic here is it has become pretty obvious, in my opinion, that gamers are very, very impressed with this tech demo, and a lot of people are basically saying this looks next-gen, and Sony and Epic Games have done a really great job actually showcasing what we can expect from next generation games going into the future that can, will basically differentiate them from what we're seeing now. So, yeah. Moving on from that, though, we are talking about some comments that Sony's CFO has said. It says here, over the last few months, it's become abundantly clear that Microsoft is trying its best to make a big comeback with the Xbox Series X. With the next-gen console set to go head-to-head with the PlayStation 5 in holiday 2020, the team in green has been talkative, to say the least, while Sony has largely remained silent on its future plans. Many an armchair analyst has argued that Microsoft is gaining ground as Sony keeps quiet, but it's easy to forget that the former has been given no real choice in the matter. The PS4 has been utterly dominant this generation, forcing Microsoft to look ahead while the Xbox One continues to lose steam. Meanwhile, Sony's current generation system will still have a surprising amount of life left in it, thanks to upcoming exclusives like The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. But what are Sony's thoughts on all of this? Is it worried about Microsoft and its aggressive Xbox Series X marketing? Apparently not. During the company's latest financial call, as reported by journalist Takahashi Makuzuki, Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki was asked, "Some say PS5 promotion is falling behind Xbox. Would you give a passing score to what the PlayStation team has done?" And this is what Hiroki Totoki had to say. "We consider things strategically, but doing our best. As far as pass or fail, I would wait for the PS5 sales to make that judgment." So basically, what he's saying here, I know I kind of butchered that reading it, but what Sony's CFO is saying here is that the proof is going to be in the sales. Now, there's some people who have walked away from this saying, oh, this is just classic arrogant Sony. I don't think that's arrogant at all. I think that's just true. Like, you really can't judge your marketing until you see how the sales are. Like, you could argue, he could have said, oh, based off of our engagement numbers on social media, I think you could easily give it a passing score and say, yeah, they're knocking it out of the park. But they didn't even do that. In my opinion, that would have been arrogant. What Sony's actually saying here is that, yeah, what we've done so far, we've been a little bit more quiet. Anything we have done, it's pretty clear that the engagement has been really great and people are very excited and very hungry for more. But in his opinion, and I think this is just a smart approach, right? It's just common sense. You're only going to be able to really determine how successful or not successful your marketing campaign was once the sales start coming in. Because if this console fails to really gain any momentum, then you could probably say, wow, we did a pretty poor job in marketing this console. But based off of everything I'm seeing so far right now, I think that it's safe to say Sony, they don't have anything to be worried about. I think that they know what they're doing. They know what gamers want. I think that has literally been proven in the past 48 hours. They know what gamers want. They know what's important to gamers. They know it's not about smoke and mirrors. It's about showing us the real deal. And I think we're going to be getting that. I think we've already gotten that. But it's only going to get better. And so I have to agree with Sony's CFO here. There's really nothing for them to be worried about. I mean, yeah, Microsoft has been aggressive. They've been coming out swinging, at least in the beginning. And, whether or not Sony feels fazed by that is something that we were all kind of wondering. Clearly, Sony's not fazed by it at all, as I don't think I don't want to say it's that they don't take Microsoft seriously, but they just know that there's a lot left to be said. There's a lot left to be done before next generation really kicks off. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. All these videos always turn out a little bit longer than I intend them to, but hopefully you did enjoy it or found it informative. If you did, be sure to, again, hit the like button to help the video out. Make sure you leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.